Okay, hi everyone. Daryl here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about net rental yield. It's actually lesson 2 in Investing 101, my playlist on my YouTube channel. Okay, so net rental yield is actually derived from gross rental yield. The net rental yield is actually the annual rent less expenses as a percentage of the purchase price or value of a property. So the formula for net rental yield is actually annual rent minus expenses divided by purchase price, then you multiply by 100%. So the difference between net rental yield and gross rental yield is that net rental yield actually has this portion whereby you deduct expenses. Okay, so what are expenses? So expenses you have to factor into net rental yield include things like stamp duties, agent commission, renovation costs, furnishing costs, maintenance fees, property taxes, legal costs, and other related costs. So net rental yield also accounts for vacancy. So for example, if you get your key to the property on 1st of January, then you hire an agent to rent it out for you. Then let's say somewhere in the middle of January, your agent says, okay, I've got a tenant for you, and he will start on the 1st of February. At the same time, the tenancy runs for 1 year at $2,000 a month. So if you accept, then you're actually renting out for 11 out of 12 months at $2,000 a month. At the same time, there may be requests, like maybe the tenant may say, I want to have some maybe simple shelving which you can purchase from IKEA and provide it for him, and he would like to have some new mattresses. Okay, and then this adds up to your expenses. At the same time, your maintenance fees for maybe every month for this property, because it's a 1 bedroom, maybe it's about $200. So in total, 24 months, right, is 2004. Then you factor in your agent commission, which is about half a month. Then there's another 1,000. Then you add up some other your simple furnishing that you are providing to this tenant because of the request. Then your total expenses is about 4,000. Okay, so let's keep the number simple so that the illustration is easier for me to illustrate to you. So for example, right, the property price you purchase at 1 million, the expenses are 4,000, and the monthly rental is $2,000 for 11 months. Okay, so the net rental yield is actually 2,000, which is the monthly rental, multiplied by 11 months because you got 1 month vacant, so it's 11 months, less the expenses. Then you divide by 1 million. So you get 0.018. You multiply by 100%. And then you get a net rental yield of 1.8%. So if you watch my previous video, you know that actually gross rental yield is actually higher than net rental yield, which is often, I say not often the case, it's always the case, because gross rental yield does not account for expenses. So whenever there's a deduction, obviously it will be lower. So net rental yield is never higher than gross rental yield. Okay, so net rental yield is after deducting expenses, and because it takes into account expenses and vacancy of your property, it's actually a more accurate depiction of the return that you are getting. Okay, but the issue is that it is actually difficult to list down all costs accurately. So sometimes when you're trying to make an investment decision, the main reason why we use gross rental yield is because it simplifies everything, and you don't have to put in and go and find out all the different costs like maintenance charges, and it's very difficult to also understand whether let's say the older property, right, especially when you buy a resale property, certain things may only crop up, let's say 1 or 2 years down the road. So it's very hard for you to add in all these costs. So let's say I give you an example. Let's say you start renting to this tenant. Okay, you collected your keys on 1st January, remember? So he moved in on 1st February. Then somewhere maybe in November, he calls you and says, okay, actually the plumbing, there's some issue, and the air conditioning unit is also not cold and faulty. So after some inspection and investigation, you realize that you have to incur some costs to have this rectified. Okay, of course the tenant will bear some cost. That's in the minor repair cost. Later we'll explain this in future videos as well. But you as the landlord have to come up with some costs. These costs can only be added in retrospectively. That means that they can only be added in when they happen. So when you are sitting down and trying to make an investment decision, it's very hard for you to factor in these costs which will only happen when you own the property. Okay, so net rental yield is something whereby after you rent out the property for 1 year, then you can accurately calculate the net rental yield. You cannot accurately calculate the net rental yield before you rent out the property because there are a lot of costs that come on board later, and it is difficult to list all these costs because you cannot predict that the aircon will break down, or you cannot predict that the piping will leak severely. So you have to actually come in and bear some of the cost together with the tenant. So this cost is hard to predict. That's why sometimes when we want to make an investment decision, we try to we use gross yield. Okay, because gross rental yield is something whereby it's very simple. It's just annual rent divided by purchase price, and the annual rent you can actually take a look at the past transacted rentals, and then after that just make an investment decision based on that. You don't have to go and investigate and try to see, probably the pipe may burst in this property, so I need to factor this into net yield. It's very difficult to do that. So that's the main reason net rental yield is actually more accurate, but the downside is that it is very difficult to predict or to calculate net rental yield before renting out or before buying the property. So that's the main reason why most of the time we also use gross rental yield. Okay, so that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and keep in touch and look out for the next video. Thank you.